My husband, male 33, told me, female 28, that he's in love with my sister, female 32. I'm pregnant and I don't know why this is happening to me. Original post. My sister and I had a horrible life growing up, with a passive mother and mistreating stepfather. My sister was my protector and role model, since no one of the adults were. She tried to shift my stepdad's mistreatment on her when he got drunk so he wouldn't hurt me. When she left for college, she let me stay in her bed while she slept on the floor in her student room, the days I managed to run away from home. When I turned 16, she let me move in with her permanently. We never saw our parents again. My husband is very similar to my sister. They're both very calm and kind, both very intelligent. They have the same sense of humor, love the same music, books, movies, and games. It's like a weird perverted thing that I found the male version of my sister to fall in love with. They get along very well, and that was so important to me because they're my only family. We got married a year ago after 6 years together, and I'm 27 weeks pregnant now with our first baby. My sister met her boyfriend, male 30, a few years ago. He got along very well with me and my husband, although I always felt that my husband never really liked the guy. When I asked him once why he didn't like him, he got flustered and told me that he didn't know it was noticeable and apologized. He told me he just didn't think he was good enough for her. Her boyfriend proposed to my sister last night. We were just having pizzas and they were having beers at my sister's balcony, and the boyfriend just suddenly went down on his knees and took out a ring. She was very surprised but happy all the same, and said yes. When we went back home, my husband was a little tipsy. He told me he wasn't tired, and that he's going to take one more beer and watch TV, and that I should go to bed. I went back to the living area, and he was sitting there crying. I asked him what's going on, and he told me that he was in love with my sister, has been for years, but that he knew how wrong this was. He told me that he loved me very much, and promised to be a good husband and father to our daughter. He slept on the couch. He's still sleeping now. I'm shocked and full of anxiety. I don't know what to do or how to feel about this. My sister, should I tell her? Nothing can be the same again, but she's my only family and my best friend. And my husband, is this over? I have been so blind, now I see everything. Of course he's in love with her. How could I be shocked now? Can I save this marriage? And my baby, I promised her a better life than the one I had. I promised her kind and loving parents. I can't let her come to this world with estranged parents and new people in their lives. What can I do? Now for the top advice before reading the update. 1. You and your sister's relationship is not impacted by this. She's living her life. You're good. 2. If you really want to save your marriage, you and your husband must go to a marriage counselor. Point blank. You need to work if this is going to last after his pronouncement. 3. If the counselor cannot save things, children know when a relationship is unhealthy, and they will be happier and better in a single-parent home when the parent is happy than in one where there is fighting or drama. I am so sorry you are going through this, but you can break that family pattern of mistreatment, even if you have to do it as a single parent. Just keep reminding yourself that baby's needs come first, and that sometimes that means that you need to prioritize you so that you can be there for baby. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with your third point. Counselors don't save things. They help you realize and work through issues, problems, and situations. It is up to OP and her husband to work through it, and the counselor will help keep them on track. Furthermore, children know a marriage is unhealthy only if the parents display unhealthy behaviors. Not every bad marriage has these clues for kids to pick up on. How many "I was caught blindsided because my dad just came out of the closet and is divorcing my mom" stories do we see on here? You did correctly hit on it during point number 2. The OP and husband must continue to work on this, probably forever. My sister was my protector and role model, since no one of the adults were. She tried to shift my stepdad's mistreatment on her when he got drunk so he wouldn't hurt me. When she left for college, she let me stay in her bed while she slept on the floor in her student room, the days I managed to run away from home. When I turned 16, she let me move in with her permanently. We never saw our parents again. None of this is your sister's fault, not one bit of it. Read back what you wrote. Remember how she fought for you, how she protected you, how she loved you. This is all on your husband. He's the one at fault. He's the one who's been nurturing an unrequited crush for years, instead of either leaving you or dealing with it. He married you and planned a child with you, all while supposedly in love with someone else. This situation is entirely of his making. Your sister shifted your stepdad's harmful behavior from you to her, and your husband couldn't even keep his mouth shut about his feelings. Don't cut off your sister. Don't isolate yourself for a man who would hurt you like this. His confession was selfish. He is not the victim in all of this. I know, I was being so stupid and silly. She hasn't done anything wrong but being kind to me and my husband. I don't know how I could have missed this, and why did he marry me? In hindsight, maybe he never left me just to stay close. How pathetic am I? You're not pathetic. This is not your fault. You trusted the man you love. It's what you're supposed to do. He deceived you. He's in the wrong here. He allowed you to make huge life decisions knowing how he felt. And honestly, I know you believe he's in love with her, but I very much doubt it's love. He's built this up in his head, and the illicit nature no doubt adds to the potency of his feelings. Now for the first update. He is awake now and I have spoken to him. He apologized for hurting me last night. He said that he just felt despair, like he had something very beloved and important in his life that he lost, and he was mourning it. He told me he loved me very much, and he wanted for this to work for us and the baby. I asked him if he loved her more than me, and he said it's just a different type of love. I asked him if he could choose between me or her. He said he'd choose me. I asked him if he thought she was more beautiful, and he said that I'm conventionally more attractive. I asked him if he stayed with me all these years just to be near her. He said I was being unfair to him because he did love me. I asked him if he is okay never seeing her again. He teared up, but then said he would do anything to save this marriage. He then added that he never really had a mother or a female figure in his life. That's probably why he's attached to her, because she is very warm and loving. I asked him, do you love her as a mother figure or do you want to sleep with her? He didn't want to answer. I asked him if he fantasized about her while sleeping with me. He refused to answer at first, and then said, why are you doing this to yourself? I asked him, will he lose interest in me if she's out of our lives and it's just us? He looked like he was thinking about this for the first time, and then he said that he chose me and my baby. He wants to start therapy and counseling because he thinks this marriage is salvageable. Update 2. We had a dinner with my sister and her fiancé. My husband was unusually silent and didn't initiate any talk with my sister, and he barely looked at her. It was a nice dinner. My sister is too happy to notice anything with her engagement and trip tomorrow. Before she went, however, my husband hugged her, longer than usual. He told her he was happy for her and wished her a great trip, all while hugging her. Then he held her hand and told her he didn't congratulate her properly yesterday because he was drunk, and he congratulated her again. He was tearing up again. Then he hugged my sister's fiancé and congratulated him. He was silent on our way home. He told me he loved me when we got back, and that he will do anything to make this work, but that I shouldn't take any decisions while hurt. We are starting couples therapy. I want him to be 100% honest, but he asked me not to tell anyone about his confession because it meant nothing. I told him that I didn't want him around my sister anymore if I would give him a chance. He asked me how this would work when we're always together. She will suspect something, and he doesn't want me to tell her because he's embarrassed. I told him he could just minimize his interactions with her. I told him to sleep on the couch again tonight because I haven't made up my mind about my next move yet, and that until then, it's the couch for him. Good night and thanks for everything, including teaching me how to make bold text. What an exhausting day. Update 3. I'm thankful for everyone who's reaching out asking for any new updates. I just don't think I have information enough to make a new post, but I have gone through all the comments, and thank you. I asked my husband for separation because I need to be on my own to make my decision. We are also starting marriage counseling, whether we stay together or not. I want to know everything that he has been withholding from me. He thinks I'm torturing myself, but he's wrong. I'm tortured with the half-truths, and with marriage counseling, I'm hoping I could get to the bottom of his feelings in a safe environment. He cried when I told him that I wanted to separate. He told me he has lost everything in one day, just because of a drunk confession that meant nothing. He loves me and he wants to be with me. He then suggested that we move away. He has had job offers in other cities on several occasions, and he said this could be our new start. We were renovating the basement this summer to make it a guest room, because our current guest room is being turned into a baby room. He will live in the basement. It has separate entrances, and the mini kitchen is almost finished. I have decided not to tell my sister about any of this. This is my battle in my marriage. I love my sister so much, but I'll be very honest here. I resent her. I'm jealous of her, and I think I have always been jealous of her. She's a way better person than I am. I hate that I never had the chance to return the favor, as she always been perfect and never needed help. I resent that she isn't as angry as I am about the injustice we had to endure. I hate that she's so good to me and my husband. I hate that he sees how much better of a person she is, and I hate that I don't blame for loving her instead of me. Update 4. Hi, I was here about a month ago with my woes about my husband, breaking down and confessing that he was in love with my sister and has been for years. The short version is that we're getting a divorce, and that he doesn't want to have anything to do with our daughter. After my sister's engagement and his confession, he made me a promise that he will love me and that he's going to do all in his power to be a good and loving husband and father. He didn't want me to tell my sister anything because he was embarrassed, and we slowly started to plan a future together in another city. He was already getting a better job offer in the other city, and now he thought it was time to move on. I agreed. We started marriage counseling. I told my sister that we were moving, and she was very distraught, but she as always didn't object and supported me. I don't know if she felt it was weird that my husband wasn't hanging with us anymore, but she never asked. She was probably just busy with her own happiness and the changes in her life. After her vacation, she came home and told me everything. She was pregnant and she was glowing, and that was the reason for this sudden engagement. Her fiancé wants to get married before the baby was born. She asked me to keep it a secret. She probably didn't mean even from my husband, but I kept it a secret anyway, because she was waiting for the second trimester to make the announcement. She finally broke down crying, however, about me moving away when she needed me the most, but then later apologized for being selfish. She understood that we needed to provide the best life for my daughter, including finding better jobs elsewhere. I cried for a whole week. Then a week ago, my husband was in a job interview in the other city, and he was going to stay there for the week to sign a lease to a new apartment. We thought we could try out the new life before selling our house to buy a new one there. Then my sister and her boyfriend made the announcement that they were expecting last Tuesday, the day after my husband's interview. Not 30 minutes later, my husband called me. He was drunk and he was crying and asking if it was true and if I knew. He called me a cruel liar for not telling him. He said it was so unfair. My sister's fiancé was a loser, and he didn't deserve her. Her fiancé is a carpenter and my sister is a pediatrician, and he told me he needed to be alone for a while, so switched off his phone. Friday, he texted me that he didn't want to be with me anymore, and that he didn't want to be in my daughter's life. He was sorry but couldn't do it anymore. If I agreed to free him from his responsibilities as a father, he will leave me the house. I tried calling him, but he had switched off his phone again. I cried all night. Yesterday morning, my sister called me to ask what's up. My husband has asked her to meet up with him because he wanted to tell her something that he couldn't say over the phone, that he was coming on Monday to see her. She asked me what's going on, but I was too tired to tell her anything. She and her fiancé are coming over today, and I will probably need to tell her everything now. Now for some advice before reading the final update. You have to tell her your husband is out of his mind. Not sure what he expects to happen. I'm guessing he's throwing in a Hail Mary to get her to leave her fiancé, to ride off into the sunset with him. I don't see this working out the way he probably is hoping. Regardless, she deserves to know the truth. She's going to feel just as blindsided as you. Your sister seems like a good one, and I'm sure she will hate to see the pain he caused you. Tell her. She needs to know. I will tell her today. You need to tell her. Your husband is nuts, and this could end very badly. She should not meet him alone. Yes, this is how pregnant women end up being unalived. OP's ex should not be alone with her sister. This make me so angry for you. I'm so sorry you're dealing with this while pregnant. By the way, he would owe you a lot more than the house. He owes child support and alimony. Don't let him have his way. Take the house, and then file for alimony and child maintenance. Now for the final update. Hi again. I knew I could count on you for support. My sister was here and I told her everything. I got help from showing her parts of what I have written here, because honestly, I'm too tired to go into details about what I've been going through all these weeks. I told her that my husband was going to call asking to meet her, probably to tell her he loved her, or maybe something more sinister, so she needs to stay away from him. Her fiancé was on the edge of his seat with anger. My sister was just crying and apologizing, and trying to hug and stroke my hair. I hated her touch. I don't know why. I know nothing is her fault. I told my sister that now I had warned her, I want to be on my own for a while, and that I didn't want any contact with any of them. I have been thinking about moving to another city. There's a small town that one of my best high school friends live in after getting married. It's up north and everything is bigger and better, and cheaper. I can easily find a small rental until the divorce is final, and I can easily get a job there. If I can manage a place there, I can give birth up there with zero stress. I texted my husband that I've told my sister everything, and that both her and her fiancé aren't happy. He called me an hour later. He apologized and told me he didn't mean to freak her out. He just wanted to see her and say goodbye, but that he won't bother her if she feels scared. He's still the same man and wouldn't let anything happen to her. He didn't even ask about me or my baby. He's staying in the new place and he's starting his new job in September. He thought he would come back to say goodbye before moving to his new city permanently. My sister texted me later that she loved me and that she would stay out of my way if that's what I wanted, but to please not go through with my plans to move. I was wrong in thinking I'm a burden in her life, because she's always needed me as much I needed her, if not more. She would do anything to make it up to me. I didn't answer. I hate it when she's so perfect and kind. F off. I'm so sorry. Please take care of yourself and your daughter. Thank you very much. Also, please don't let your soon-to-be ex poison your relationship with your sister. She's kind and perfect, and that's the kind of love and support you deserve. Not sure why he's judging your sister's husband. He is the only loser in this situation. He has been obsessing about my sister's fiancé and his profession since he met him. I know you resent your sister right now, but please don't push her away. You both need each other in this trying times, especially as you are a single mother. You'll feel all sorts of negativity around her because of your piece of thrash ex-husband, but don't forget it's your ex who did this to you and your sister. Don't let him win even more by breaking you two apart. Strengthen your bond even more now that there's no barrier between you two as sisters and soon-to-be mothers. Let him know how happy you are without his useless butt. There's no greater best friend than your sister who's been with you through ups and downs. Really wishing you the best, OP. The F off at the end was sad. She doesn't even know who she's angry at. And I couldn't be happier. Plus updates. Original post. I, 45 male, and my wife, 44 female, have been married for 10 years. We dated for 6 years before that, and I got a lot of pressure to get married from my parents, her parents, and her. Something in my gut said that this wasn't right. I called it cold feet and did my best to ignore it, and we got married. Pretty much the moment the ink was dry on our marriage license, things went south. On our honeymoon, she did nothing but complain that I hadn't booked a nicer hotel. Then in the following months, she wanted a new apartment, a new car, gifts, jewelry, handbags. It was never enough. It's like the moment she got the ring, it stopped being about me and became about what I could give her. I am a doctor, and I make good money. Not good enough to support the kind of lifestyle she wants though. We don't even get intimate anymore. We don't laugh. We don't talk about anything but money. We have no kids. She said she wanted them before marriage, then changed her mind. Our home looks like a showroom, and there is no warmth nor joy or even comfort here. I hate it. I hate her. I am a 45-year-old physician, and I have barely enough savings to sustain us for 3 months. I want to retire someday. I want to enjoy my life. I rented a cool apartment across town in a less desirable neighborhood, and there's a stack of IKEA furniture waiting for me to set it up there. The lease is up on the Mercedes my wife pushed me to lease next month, and I will be replacing it with a used Prius. I'm starting therapy next week. I have a divorce attorney who has assured me that the prenup we signed before marriage means I won't have to pay alimony. I hope to leave the higher-paying job that my wife insisted I take for something with less hours sometime in the next year. I am going to ask out the pretty barista who flirts with me every morning. I'm telling her first thing tomorrow. I'm expecting her to cry and beg and demand we try therapy. I don't want any of that. This was never right, and I'm only sorry it took me so long to realize it. I'm sorry I've wasted so much of my life being married to a woman because I thought it was the right thing. I am so excited. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. We are going to need an update about this after the call, but good luck. The best thing you did was the prenup. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. People get a prenup, but I don't think. That's correct. You don't think. You think nothing. Get a prenup. I have $3. Split the $3 and get a prenup. The older I get, the more people I see who have ruined their lives. I was always opposed to the idea as, you don't go into marriage planning for it to fail. Then a lawyer once told me, friend's parent, that anything can happen in life, and with a proper prenup, you can protect your spouse too. I can't remember any details that make sense though, so I will leave it at that. But coming from a lawyer, I really took note. Don't ask out or date anyone until everything has settled down and cooled off after the divorce. No one in the world will not suspect you just started having a wandering eye if you do. Do yourself a favor and preserve your freedom after the divorce. If you taint it with another person, you're always going to simply be a cheater who wanted a divorce to sleep around, and will never hear the end of it from the ex, family, or friends. Also, if you think your wife is only with you for the money, but don't suspect the barista is only flirting for the tips, laughing out loud. Thanks to everyone who has concerns about the prenup, but my lawyers and I are confident. At the time we got married, she has a significant inheritance, now nearly gone, which her family insisted on seeing protected. Her lawyer and my lawyer agreed on this, and we both signed. I'd say get a witness when you tell her, People can go insane when they think they are being broken up with, and you need protection in case of a he said she said scenario, or at least record it. I've seen a lot of people also mention, which seems like common sense, but can be overlooked in the moment, do not sleep with her. Going along with having witnesses for personal protection. Also make sure you limit your encounters with her in the coming days or weeks. Good luck. Edit. Alright folks, I've gotten a lot of comments begging me not to ask out the barista as it's her job to be nice to me. I didn't really get into the relationship I have with her, because I didn't think it was relevant to the divorce. But here goes. I met her about a year ago. She's 30. I don't usually wear a wedding ring because my job requires me to scrub regularly. She actually asked me out, invited me to a food truck festival in town, a few months into knowing each other. I said I was married and she was embarrassed. Since then, we've had a bit of a running joke going where she asks me, so, still married? My current plan is to reply, not for long, and see what happens. I appreciate the internet's apprehension. In truth, I would probably say the same thing if I didn't know the backstory, but I promise I'm not a creep. Now for the first update. First of all, man, I didn't expect the first post to blow up. I really was getting it off my chest, and expected a few good luck comments and not much more. I know a lot of people were asking for an update, so here goes. Usually when I wake up, I go for a run or a bike ride. While I'm gone, my wife gets up, gets dressed, gets a smoothie going, whatever. This morning I paced the kitchen, rehearsing what I had to tell her over and over again. When she finally came down, I felt oddly calm. I wasn't expecting to be panicked exactly, but apprehensive at least. I told her I needed to speak to her. She gave me an and didn't look up from the coffee machine. Then I just came out with it. I told her I was leaving and that I wanted a divorce, that we haven't been happy in a long time, and I felt as though she didn't care about me or my emotional needs. Pretty much instantly the gaslighting began. She cried that I never get her flowers anymore, that I don't do enough to support her, that I don't care if she's happy. I brought up the fact that I suggested therapy over a year ago, and she agreed, but then made excuse after excuse not to go. I brought up the time she completely ignored the budget we worked on. I told her how it made me feel when she dismissed me, when I tried to tell her how I was feeling. The crying escalated then, along with begging for a chance to make this right, to go to therapy, that she would be better. It went like I thought it would go, and I felt absolutely nothing. I don't care anymore. Whatever I once felt for her is just dead and gone, and she might as well have been a second cousin sobbing about her marriage for all the connection I felt to it. Eventually, I just got fed up and walked out. She has been blowing up my phone with calls and texts, which range from angry to begging, to threatening. I started getting calls from her mother, and mine too by the end of the day. I spoke briefly to my mother, and calmly explained that I was sorry she didn't hear it from me, but my wife was sucking me dry financially and emotionally, and I couldn't do it anymore. She was surprisingly supportive. I'm currently in my new apartment. I unrolled the mattress in a box, and went to Walmart for sheets. I ate Thai takeout for dinner at the kitchen counter and watched a bit of Netflix on my computer. I have everything I need for the next few days. My wife is getting served tomorrow. I keep expecting the sadness to set in, but it hasn't. I feel like 1,000 pounds are off my shoulders, and suddenly my future is full of possibilities. I'm going to travel, I'm going to try new restaurants, I'm going to take a job that actually makes me happy and proud instead of rich. Much to the internet's chagrin, I will ask out the barista, because despite unpopular opinion, she is both age appropriate. It's her family's business, and I do have the interpersonal skills to recognize the difference between customer service and actual connection. Cheers everyone. I'm going to have a beer and then take a walk around my new neighborhood. He only has 3 months worth of savings after 10 plus years as a physician. She's blowing through $150,000 a year minimum. Well, not anymore I guess. No wonder she's crying. She got fired on her day off. Why is it that people who marry someone for their money and then completely neglect are so surprised when they leave? Good on OP. I hope he has fun, makes some risky decisions, and enjoys life for a while. Because they think they are doing the other person a favor by marrying them. They think they are an absolute catch, and anyone they deign to be with needs to pamper them and cater to their every whim for the privilege. It's just narcissism. So you've met my cat. I really needed to read this today. Today would have been my anniversary with my ex-wife, and I felt myself becoming a bit maudlin. Then this reminded me of just how much better off I am without her constant negativity and lazy mooching. I hope for nothing but the best for OP, and hope he finds what he needs in life and love. As it happens, today would also be my anniversary with my ex-wife. I've been lucky, it's been 7 years since, and every element of my life is better now than it was before. 7 years ago, I wouldn't have believed it, but here I am. If it's new to you, keep your chin up. It gets better. You've got this. When my ex and I finally decided to divorce, we both had to go in person to change the utilities from my name to his. When we were there, the clerk asked why we were switching it. When we told her, she looked shocked and said, "But you both look so happy." We were like, that's exactly the point. Happy to be getting divorced. Now for the second update. So it's been over a week since I asked for the divorce, and things are slowly progressing. My wife and I sat down yesterday to discuss the next few months. She is still extremely in denial about my leaving, and seems to be convinced that if she offers me the right thing or say the right words, I will come back. I won't. I don't love her anymore. I don't feel any loyalty toward her, and the divorce is just a legal formality for how I am already feeling, which is that she is not my wife. She has gotten representation, and my attorney is preparing to offer a generous settlement, more than she is entitled to, if she signs quickly, and we can start moving forward. I'm almost positive she will reject it in the hopes of keeping this going long enough for me to back down. However, yesterday, I more or less said, I'm not changing my mind. Let's not waste money on the lawyers because you think I will. But I don't think she really heard me, so I'm readying myself for a fight. I know a lot of people were curious about the barista, and I actually have a small update on that front as well. 2 days ago, I managed to work the divorce into conversation with her, and she was surprised but seemed happy for me. She is a ceramic artist and invited me to a fundraising event her studio is throwing for our city's community pantry, and I'm going. So, we'll see what happens. Thanks for all the support, everyone. I'm feeling extremely optimistic about my life, and while the divorce is sure to suck, I still wake up every day happy and excited for my day. I haven't felt like that in years. Now for some advice before reading the last update. I think you should work with the lawyer to get the wording right, but there's gotta be a way you can chip away at what she gets if she is causing unnecessary delay. Like, the first offer wasn't good enough. Let's take away $500 a month in alimony in the second offer. Rinse and repeat. Chill out with the barista chick, because if your wife learns of this, your divorce is gonna go from potentially contentious to absolutely freaking soul-destroying. Right here, OP, your wife could likely claim you are having an affair. I don't know what that could possibly result in, as I've never been divorced, but tread lightly. If the wife has a good attorney, OP might get shafted beyond his wildest expectations, financially of course. If you're going to do anything with that barista, you should hold off on anything official till after your divorce, because it can be seen as an affair. Plus, the fact that the barista was commenting, still married, before the OP made the move to end his marriage, doesn't sit right with me. If a man is still with his wife, you don't hint that you'd be interested if he left his wife. Shouldn't have been any flirting going on by the barista or the doctor. I mean, is the kind of woman you want to end up with the kind that doesn't respect commitment, marriage or wedding vows? What if the OP gets with her, and then another married man catches her eye, maybe another doctor closer to her age? Just doesn't seem like a good start to me. That all depends on the state you live in. In Illinois, for instance, they don't care at all. My ex had multiple affairs. I was told by my attorney that no matter what, the state says it is a no-fault divorce. So basically, be sure to check. But also, for your own sake, if you can't explain it to someone without a minute of saying why my situation is different, then no one will believe you. We all make caveats for ourselves. And now for the last update. So thanks to everyone who's checked up on me. It's been a wild few weeks, and now that everything has settled down, I thought I would post an update for those still interested. First off, I did go on a date with the barista. She's a wonderful person and I like her a lot, but I didn't feel any particular connection or interest in pursuing it. We're still friendly, so no hard feelings. My wife has been extremely upset by the whole thing. I don't think I saw her display this much emotion in our entire marriage. She's been apologizing for her part in our marriage failure and trying to work it out. She claims to be willing to go to therapy and says she knows the spending got out of hand. The last time we spoke, I told her it wasn't the spending, it was the fact that she didn't give a damn about my feelings, my opinions, and my desires. I brought up how we talked for years about having children, then she put it off until she finally admitted she didn't want them. It feels like our entire relationship was built on a shoddy foundation. It's over, and my position hasn't changed. I'm pushing forward with divorce proceedings and I'm hoping to be done with this by the end of the year. I actually got on a dating app and I have a few matches. I've decided that I'd still very much like to have kids, but at this stage in my life, stepkids are more probable, which is fine with me. I just really want an actual family and people to care about again. I'm trying to put myself out there more, going places, doing new things, meeting new people. My apartment is absolutely fantastic and I'm loving it. I'm the oldest person living in it by about 15 years, and my neighbors are all 20-somethings who call me Doc. I'm happy to be alive. The divorce is crap, but it's not weighing me down. No regrets. They all swear up and down that they are ready to change and work on themselves once they realize the free ride is over. Why should your partner have to take drastic measures for you to wake up and start being a true partner? It's all a game to these abusers. Good for the husband, good riddance to a selfish asshole. That's how I felt. He was willing to change once I no longer wanted to be married to him. He finally agreed to the marriage counseling I had asked for years. But I was done. Counseling just confirmed that he saw me as his servant and property. I think it is great he is living his life, but maybe he should take a break from relationships. He literally just left his wife and he is going on dates. They are barely separated, not because they are going to get back together, but because he needs to work on himself a bit. I think in this case, it might be an exception. He hasn't been in a relationship for quite a while because of these problems. I think the time that he'd need to process was sorta done before the papers got served, to be honest. Normally I'd agree, but this one, no, I think he's already done all of his thinking and work. I agree. I was in a marriage like that, pressured into marriage and never really in love with a partner who never fostered the relationship to even give me someone to love. It was really easy to move on, and very quickly. Never even shed a tear for him. I had been fantasizing what it was like to be in love with someone for years at that point. What a lot of people don't get about divorce is that for the person choosing it, it's usually the end of a long journey they've already been on. For people just hearing about it, friends, family, or even the spouse, it's just the beginning. It's often shocking news, even if the person filing for divorce has confided in how bad things are. People think things will just work out. This guy is a perfect example of what a lot of people go through. The divorce is the end, after years of doubts, struggles, and unhappiness. They're finally so fed up that they're willing to endure all the emotional turmoil and social judgment that comes with it. So, when you see him or someone you know excited to date, be kind. They don't necessarily need time to adjust or define themselves, or in true Reddit speak, hit the gym. They've made their peace. Of course, if someone you care about is making unhealthy choices, you can express concern and love and support. But there's no set way for how someone should go through this. Don't make assumptions. Talk to the people you care about and hold space and be supportive. My favorite way to put it is, divorce doesn't kill the marriage, it's just the burial service. As I promised, the whole story. I was married for 2 years at the time. Wife is a serious TikTok junkie, sends me at least 20 a day. We are both in our early 20s. Start sending ones about open marriages, and also some podcasts. A few long talks about how we are young and should try this before we are old and have kids. After a few months of pushing and pushing, I give in, and we set up some boundaries. 1. No unprotected activities. 2. Nothing in our house and no overnight stays. 3. If something occurs with someone else, no details and no touching each other for 30 days. And a doctor's visit and cleared, before any intimacy between us. We open our marriage, she starts going on dates on Friday nights. I work anyways and I get home normally around 10 p.m. The first year was kind of fun. She goes out on a date, by the time I get home she is already home, or getting home at the same time. She tells me what they did on the date and she jumps me. These are just dates, so no physical acts or intimacy. During this first year, I myself go on 3 dates, and each one goes the exact same way. They find out I am married and it is not what they are looking for. Was nice meeting you. So after 3 dates I quit. Then one Friday night she doesn't get home till like 3 in the morning. Comes in, makes a joke about being too sore and tired for anything. See some hickey marks on her chest and thighs. Not going to lie, I was hurt and upset by this. Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember, she tries to initiate with me, and I remind her of rule number 3. She gives me the, "Are you serious? 30 days and a doctor's visit." I said, "Yes, deadly serious." This becomes a pattern for us. She goes out with her bad boy on Friday nights, has her fun, then spends the rest of the week trying to get me to change rule number 3. To me, it feels like she put me on a shelf. I start avoiding her, working more, being out of the house, even if just out walking, start becoming a lot more physically active, start losing some weight. She is full in a fog of new relationship energy and doesn't notice and thinks I am out doing my own thing. 5 months of being on a shelf, I am not seeing a reason to remain in this marriage. I was selling my happiness so she could be happy, and I was running out of things to sell. Up to this point, she has not broken any boundaries, and every time I bring up that maybe she should step back from him, I am overreacting or blowing this way out of proportion. It's just some fun one night a week. Our 4th wedding anniversary day arrives, and I take the day off work, make her dinner, and clean the house. She get home from work at 4, hops in the shower, get dressed up, tells me she is going to a bar to see a local band and not to wait up. She completely forgot about our anniversary. I am destroyed. I wake up Saturday morning at 9 in the morning, and she never came home. Boundary number 2 broken. I send her one simple text: "You have broken our boundary of no sleeping over. I am done." At 11:30 she starts calling, tells me she just closed her eyes for a second and passed out. Was an accident. I am so sorry, it will never happen again. My unwillingness to even talk about it causes her to wake up out of her fog a bit. She ends up coming to my work just before we open, and makes a scene in front of the whole staff and the owners. I am finally able to calm her down enough, and she leaves. I promised on Sunday we can discuss it. I get home from work Saturday night and she once again tries to be intimate with me, and I again tell her rule number 3. She then tells me that she will no longer be seeing him and wants to close the marriage and work on reconnecting with me. Seems she freaked out when she woke up there, got my texts, and he made fun of her and she realized how much of a jerk he was. She tries every day to be intimate with me and fails badly. At this point I have no need or want or desire for her. She is a roommate, barely. The 30 days goes by, she goes to the doctor and gets checked out. She is clean of diseases, but is pregnant. Not sure where her mind was with this, but she comes home excited and tells me we are pregnant. I tell her, good, I hope you two will be happy together. Looks at me confused for a few minutes and starts crying. She a few days later sends him a text telling him. His response is, "Wow, sucks to be you. Might want to pass it off as your husband's. Laters." I file for divorce soon after. She starts doing anything and everything to change my mind about the divorce. Make promises, begs, pleads, offers everything under the sun, asking for a chance to fix us. I am polite and nice about it, but not having any of it. I'm stuck living with her for a while till our lease is up. We fall into a new pattern. She tries to be intimate with me. I turn her down. She gets upset. I go for a run. My resentment of her is growing just like her baby bump. 3 weeks ago, she comes in my room to talk. She brought home pizza for dinner. Starts with how being pregnant makes her super into it all the time, and tries yet again to be intimate with me. I at this point am running out of politeness. Tells her sorry, I am not into fat chicks. Maybe hit Tinder. I'm sure someone on there would be down for it. She leaves my room crying. Also, we had our first divorce hearing and the judge slapped 6 weeks of marriage counseling on us, court ordered. We go 2 sessions, kinda like a meet and greet thing. Talk to us separately to get our stories, I guess. I just want this over so we can move on with our lives. Last Sunday was my birthday. On that Friday before it, she asks me to spend my birthday with her to celebrate it. I decline her invitation. She keeps pushing the subject, and I snap and I tell her that I don't waste special occasions on her anymore. The last one was our 4th anniversary, in which she went out to get knocked up by some pothead loser. I leave her crying in the kitchen, head to work, and told her I would see her on Monday for our court-ordered waste of time. Monday morning, I am at marriage counselor and she never shows. I call her, nothing. Call her friends, nothing. Then called her parents. She got arrested Sunday morning for DUI and reckless endangerment, and they are on the way. I offer our house for them to stay at, as I have a couch at a friend's house. My lawyer goes to the judge and expedites things, and my divorce gets finalized this past Friday. Yesterday I helped them pack some of her stuff, and today going to help them load a U-Haul they rented. She gets released tomorrow, and they are taking her back home with them. She wants to see me, but I feel that will just be worse for the both of us. We both need to move on. Now for some comments before reading the update. That 30-day rule likely saved you from being stuck to her for another 18 years. I guarantee you she would have tried to pass the baby off as yours if you two were intimate at the time. Good luck on your future. Came here to say this. Do not sign birth certificate, and ask your lawyer as to how to get out of not paying child support. You would need to show DNA test to show that you are not the father. And do not proclaim the kid as your own, otherwise courts might compel you to pay child support. Please check with your lawyer regarding kids born with another father during marriage. Lawyer said I am free and clear. Just super emotional today. Been crying, not sure for what. Just crying is good. Cleansing all those emotions, getting all that negativity out of your system. You're in a liminal space right now, and that can be emotional and uncomfortable. You're closing up this chapter, so you can move on to the next. Uncomfortable is right for sure, dealing with my former father and mother-in-law, getting her stuff packed up and in a U-Haul. The funny thing is, you stood by the rules and gave her every chance to improve. And she broke every single one of them. Number 3, she tried consistently to break, showing a complete disrespect. Imagine that. She had the entire thing handed to her exactly as she wanted it, and it wasn't enough. And then she thought you would still stay after she broke every rule. But you didn't, and you're a damn hero for that. I really saw this story going another way, but this was the best outcome. You got rid of a miserable person who tried to take advantage of you every single step of the way. That's because open marriages like this case are just a guilt-free way of cheating. And now for the update. My divorce was finalized a week and a day ago. I have been playing every moment over in my head and feel guilty for making it out the other side pretty much intact, and in some ways better for it. While she is still living in that dumpster fire and not moving on or giving up. Had to change my phone numbers, delete my Facebook. I can't even answer the phone at my business. Only good part is, she is 8-hour drive away at her parents, so she can't just show up, but she is sending her friends by in proxy. I was stupid to think that once the divorce was final I could start my life up again. Final update, I hope. Last Thursday I took a call from my ex-wife. Been no contact since our divorce was finalized. Had a 45-minute talk with her. She had been doing some self-reflection and was apologizing for specific things she did in the 5 months she put me on a shelf, and the 6 months of trying to stop me from divorcing her. Seems she needed some closure and hoped that someday I would forgive her and no longer hate her. I informed her that I have forgiven her, and that I want her to have a good life and forget all about me and move on with her life. She promised to respect my no contact. I am moving on with my life. I am even working on rebuilding my relationship with my parents, which I have not spoken to in 7 years. Let me guess, these are the same friends of hers who help her convince you to try this open marriage thing. Where were they when you were hurting? Tell them to kick rocks. She broke all the boundaries you had in place, got herself pregnant by a lowlife who wants nothing to do with her now, but yet she still feels he is deserving of her having his baby. She sees you as nothing more than a weak provider. She would never have your kids. She just wants your resources to raise someone else's kid. If she truly loved you and wanted to really save this marriage, she knew what she had to do. Dude, I feel for you. I read your story, and it is unfortunate that it ended this way. But don't you feel bad? You did what is best for you. In life there are always consequences, and we have to take accountability for our actions. She needs to take accountability for hers. Please don't feel guilty. You consented to this open marriage crap in an effort to please your ex-wife, who, obviously, never took your feelings into consideration. Your ex-wife consistently broke the boundaries and showed you nothing but contempt. She blew off your anniversary for some unprotected extramarital activity which wound up being her undoing. Take your time healing, and please learn the lessons from this experience. She made her choices, now she has to live with the consequences. That's her problem. Stay strong, better days are in your future. Keep on going. Keep tight, no contact. I've been following your story. Let me say I'm impressed by how quickly you recognized your mistake in accepting her request to open the marriage, then took quick and correct steps to correct your life path. Takes a heck of a lot of willpower, emotional backbone, and resilience to operate like you did. It's natural to feel guilty. After all, you once loved her enough to not only marry her, but even allowed her to pull the open marriage BS. You guys were supposed to grow old together, so watching her in this condition would trigger emotions. You wouldn't be a good dude otherwise. But just remember, if you re-engage her in any capacity, she will escalate the circus to keep you trapped in her orbit of cruelty. Redirect that guilt into improvement energy towards yourself. But always remind yourself, everything that's happened is her doing. The state she's in is entirely of her own doing. She is no longer your problem forever. Oh, and those enabler friends she's sending over, any chance you recorded or documented that as well. Might be able to get your lawyer to do something about it. Hit her with some kind of harassment charges or restraining order. You have the right to be left alone. Time for you to move on and regard all this as merely a speed bump in your life. Thank you, and you are right. Now for the last story. So, my wife cheated on me. After 22 years, I found out my wife was cheating on me. Here's the gory details. It was one of my friends and neighbors, someone we go to church with. Even my oldest son took their daughter to prom. In summary, that family was close to us. So, on Super Bowl Sunday night, we had some people over for the game, that neighbor as well. After the game, everyone left and I went to bed. About an hour later, I woke up to hearing a conversation. I got up, heard my wife talking on Snapchat audio, speakerphone, to a guy. They were making arrangements to meet in the morning after I went to work, and do the deed. I kept listening and realized that I know that voice on the other end. I dashed downstairs, grabbed the phone and confronted him. Phone immediately hung up. My wife confessed that the affair had been going on for a month. On top of this, all 4 of my kids heard the argument and subject matter, and they hate their mother now. I live in a small community, and it's going around town. I'm really struggling with a mix of anger, depression, and loneliness. I need some advice. I'm trying to make it work, but my wife is blaming me as too engaged with work the past year. Business owner during COVID. Yeah, trying to make some money. She's blamed getting COVID as a mental issue, and she's blamed too many drinks. Now for the top advice. Is this a new symptom of COVID? It makes you cheat now. It's impossible to make it work if she blames shifts with these pathetic excuses and refuses to take responsibility. It would still be going on if you had not found out. At minimum, kick her out the bedroom. I would ask her to leave the house for a period so you can process this. And make no decisions yet. It's far too early to decide to make it work as you say, and make her no promises. She must know divorce is an option for you. If the neighbor has a wife or girlfriend, make sure they are informed if they don't already know. I recorded her confession and sent it to his wife. Heck yeah, good work, man. See a lawyer. At the very least, you must know how this will impact your family. Don't fall for this manipulative BS. You worked too hard. BS. COVID made her do it. She drank too much. Yeah, sure she did. She must be doing a lot of drinking to continuously do this for a month. I wasn't aware adultery was a COVID symptom. You think? This is the classic blame shifting and gaslighting routine you find in the Cheater's Big Book of Cheating Excuses Chapter 1. So you've been caught. Sadly, there's nothing special about your circumstances. Your wife and this dude decided they want to do it with people they weren't married to, and so they chose to give themselves permission to do it. Note that carefully. They didn't make a mistake. They didn't trip and fall on each other's you-know-what. They actively and consciously chose to meet, do the deed, and deceive both you and the other betrayed spouse. For a month. I can't suggest a course of action beyond the obvious, but I would suggest that both respect and trust have been irrevocably destroyed here. Don't make any sudden decisions. But for sure consider what the future is going to be like with her, knowing what you now know. Good luck, make smart decisions, and be your own best friend now, because your wife surely isn't. Imagine a drunk driver blaming the alcohol or the judge after an accident that destroys an entire family. That's called selfish. It's called being a coward. To successfully reconcile after an affair, the very first thing required is genuine remorse for what she chose to do to you and your family. Then there are 100 more variables that must fall into place. I'd take as much time apart from her as possible. Don't leave your home, moving to a guest room and try to gather your thoughts. Minimally engage with her and focus on your kids. Given how evil she's been by not only cheating, but then blaming you, I'd prepare for the worst, but at least prepare. Talk to a lawyer, discuss options. If your kids hate her, it could work in your favor and you might get full custody anyway. Do not tolerate being blamed for her vile choices. When I work too much, you know what my wife does. She sits down and talks with me about it. You know what she doesn't do? Go and bang the neighbor behind my back and then blame me for it. We have 3 kids, and if I'm in your shoes, given what you posted, I'm leaving. Maybe after the divorce and some hard lessons, she wakes up and you can rekindle. But she sounds deep into the affair fog and needs a wake-up call. Sorry man, this sucks. Affair fog is so real. My husband's fog lifted, and he is so remorseful that I actually feel bad for him. Not bad enough to stay married to him, but it's pretty crazy how he was seeing things a few months ago compared to right now. I'm sorry that you are going through this. I've often thought how terrible it would feel if we lived in a small town. We don't, but even then, I do get tired of the pity. This is what will always crack me up. She could have cheated with anyone in the world, any freaking stranger to get rid of her itch, but she had to make it a personal crap show where you are humiliated in your own house and community. And then what? I'm sorry, let's go to therapy, like any caught loser will cry last minute. As if it had changed that fact that your son and his best friend won't have that turd stain on their mind for the rest of their lives. Hey bud, remember when your dad and my mom separated our families? Or every time your daughter wants to reminisce on her prom or any event you shared as couples? What a kick to the balls, honestly. She deserves a trophy for screwing things up in the worst way possible. This obviously hits close to home, but goddamn OP, I hate your wife and people like her. How could there be any fixing? Kick her ungrateful butt to the curb and never look back. Easier said than done, but I wish you strength to see this through in whatever way is best for you, and thank you if you got to the bottom of my rant.